Checkity check. Check baby. Check baby. 1. Check it. 2. Alright. Check baby. Greetings. We're up on the waves today. Keep on going on slow. Right up. Right up. Riders of the sheep. Easy, they say. Hot on the way, you know. Deep down in a folk soul. I know as the time rolls on, be a smaller handful of us to save anything at all. Folk soul say, soul in the heart of the music. Is love, is love, is love. Soul and heart of the music. Is love, is love, is love. Oh. Sacred as the flame does burn. Easy on the way as the circle turns round. Oh, hold the flame, oh. 'Cause if it's not love, then I never needed it at all. I can feel it in my heart and feel my heart and soul. If I gotta wait till I get to the other realm, love, it's forevermore, then so be. But I know wisdom is the way. I know there's a wise woman out there looking at me, rough as I am, Be a wise woman, look at me. I think she felt me on the window. She felt me on the window. So shine on me, shine in our heart and soul. Grandmother said, ancient as a tree does grow. And she said, tree flame and will, tree flame and will. Call me on the way if you wanna know. Can you resonate a folk soul say from the heart and soul? I can say it's nothing at all. 3-card money on the spread. You can't call love this day. Oh, if you have love, you're always gonna know true full soul. Be a test on the way. Who's gonna stay? Circle around the fire, I know. As a tear falls down my face, falls down my face, falls down my face. From my folks' soul, yeah. Feel so lonely deep down, but I call on the spirit of my people around. Sow the seed and sow the seed. Oh. Ain't no game, you know. Been walking down this road a long time, baby, come on. That's what I said. Woman of the way, right here, right now, where you go, rough as I am. She don't bring no slick talk lies to the circle round. She's 100% love. She's no fool or liar. Said you bring fire on your head. Bring it anywhere near her, although she loves all the way. They told me she loved her all the way. Deep down I know, oh, the tears still fall like rain. Oh, so don't lie to me, but tell me the truth. Get away from me. Love me or get away from me. Oh. 'cause it's a war zone out here. Love me or get away from me. Tell me why'd you even come anyway? If you don't love me all the way. That's what she said in the pouring rain. Oh, yeah. They dance with me, my love, stay on. You can be my friend. Ooh. Only got one tribe and family root down said. Back to the old ways, they say. To circle around, oh, I'm not your entertainment, no. Just a one man living from the heart of a folk soul. A folk soul, say it. Rough as I am, rough as I am, deep down so the seed that grows and easy on the way. Oh, may I raise a glass for you, love? That's what I said. Unto grandmother Volva, who is wise. She watches over. And if anyone disrespects that, well, they can answer to her grandfather, can't they? I'm not joking. I mean that. Are you my tribe to circle around? Oh, 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 oh. Rough as I am, I will tell you the truth now. I will always tell you the truth. They just keep lying to me anyway. Even though I have love to stay. All you ever wanted was a mountain of gold. You forgot your folks so sad. Rough as I am, be on the mountain. Say it, oh. Say it. Long before I know to go deep down low, 'cause I feel like a motherless child, and I feel like a fatherless child. So it's what they said when they forgot a folk soul, yeah. Rough as I am, might not even have the perfect tone to my voice, but I got a folk soul, yeah. A little bit of Froggy. And I've been waiting deep down for you. Gotta keep it real smooth, baby, come on, baby. just sway, sway back and forth, and you can feel too what a folk soul rhythm can do. Shining weed, heart song to be, the root of the heart song to seed, oh, like an ember to burn. Grandmother, oh, try to lead us away from the folk soul rhythm, and I know back to the earth and wood to grow. Sad. Till then I'll be sitting in the oak tree, waiting on down where grandfather be, where grandfather be, the chairs fall down, oh, someplace I never see, be in the woodland, and a memory falls to the ground like a teardrop rolling down my face as the sun shines down on my crown. Wood and stone, wood and stone. All right. Excellent. Thank you for coming. A more serious focus today. You know, sometimes memories surface, and over time, you learn how to handle that better. But when you're first kind of pushing into areas. Maybe you had a trauma when you were younger. You don't know why you react to certain things, but there's a reason. There is a core seed, I'm catching my breath, driving that emotion. And for me, my emotions are very powerful, and it's made my life difficult. But it is what it is. Being hypersensitive, not autistic, just it's due to trauma and other things, but just natural sensitivity. And so, because oftentimes that's not caught at an early age, you could have a very high functioning person, like say Tesla, but a different version of that, right? Now, Tesla was known to have been sick when he was young, right? And he had visions, flashes of light, right? Like so bright, it was near blinding. It makes me wonder because of the realms, and my opinion and perception is you have frequency, right? And so the closer I get to folk music, the more tribal it really is. And I've known that for years because I learned that young, that music was about tribe. Even if it's an augmented form, I still had an experience that taught me what tribal culture was 100%. That's why I know, because I have lived it. A lot different from living in corporate America, and then you wake up and you're 30 or 25 and you're like, hey, there's more to life. Yeah. I understand. Went to college, whatever, you're focused on that. I didn't go that route. I went on the F everything route because I was that frustrated with reality. I mean, I tried. I went to massage school, graduated, finished that, right? But I saw how men were discriminated against. Either you got to be gay, which I wasn't, to a point. It's kind of true. You got to be like Mr. Bodybuilder guy. Those guys got jobs because they were good. You know what I'm saying? But in the majority is all female. So what do? I am intuitive and a creative person, but in this society, you learn that's not value, but that's the core, right? That's the oldest aspect. But now that tech comes in, spirit is out the window. Oh, that's just foolishness, is it? It's all energy and consciousness. Like no different, well, in a way, than a computer. Well, very different, but you know what I mean. A computer does not have love, where humans do. And, well, some humans. So I look at it like this. Your folk soul is evolving, right? And so just like the 100th monkey, when you are true and attuned to your tribe, you're going to pick up on that. If you are a greedy, traitorous scumbag, then that's who you're going to tune into. You'll get your money, but you'll have no folk soul potency. None. So does that mean you can't run a business or do anything? No. What is your intention? Catch it? I have nothing. I'm poor. I'm $20,000 in student debt. Could I put commercials on my video? Sure. Would that help me? Yeah, but I wouldn't feel good about it because I don't necessarily want those running on top of what I'm saying, right? But I'll post videos. Other people do, and they'll put commercials on it, but I don't because that's how I feel. So even though I like some commercial artists, I'm picky. Like, for instance, you noticed a lot of ladies have been influences on me vocally. Yeah, women are amazing that way for emotional expression. So growing up with a single mom, I was taught emotions were important from an early age. Now, when you grow up in a family with someone who has overcome abuse, right? Like, I'm very honest. Why? Because I know there are other people out there just like me, but they're too embarrassed to say, right? So they're confused and they don't comprehend why their issues are happening. Music. So why am I reading? I get into character, right? Because those characters are archetypes and what they represent is important to me. Like, I relate directly with Lou, for sure. Like, there have been experiences where I've always felt that, like, the sword of truth, which means, and I've lived with that concept for many years, is that it cuts through lies. No lie can stand before that. It will be destroyed. That is my point with the heart's flame, right, of our folk. And living true is growing that. And not living true isn't. And so what does the flame or vibration become? And I boiled it down to this. What makes sense early on? Well, spirit world must consist of family structure. What do I see around me? Right? It's not a big board computer. It is a family structure that loves you, right? So true-hearted means 100% love and trust between you and the people you love, whether that is brother, sister, mother, father, so on and so forth, grandmother, grandfather. But what I'm talking about is the ancient, nothing modern, back to the root. Why? Too much corruption. I will not follow somebody down a rabbit hole, right? I can have a group of people where we have a consensus. Hey, this makes sense. Yeah. Yes, it does. Family structure makes a lot more sense than some unknowable God floating up in the goddamn sky. Just saying. So, to me, all of these stories have a core root of teaching you virtues, to be heroic, because that is what it takes to survive, right? So base element, breaking it down. If, say, you're going to have a relationship with someone, whether that is friend, whoever, romantic, otherwise, there must be honor, and you must be seeking love first, not a goddamn pile of fucking money. Seriously. Notice I have a trigger about that. Yes, because people are valuing money over heritage. Got it? That's how I feel. And it's personal. And the reason it is personal is because my father was a researcher, right? For, most of his adult life, 45 to 50 years of research. And so sometimes people like that go unnoticed. So where does all their work go after they die, right? My dad sent that all over the world. And so I'm like, okay, you're dealing with like trolls and people like that, hackers. I feel with very immature or vindictive personalities. So I feel, do not radiate that and be like them, or you attract it, right? Like the vampire song, I do not want to be a vampire. It's a good song, but I am a hunter. I'd rather fight vampires. Remember my story? You've been here a long time, right? About the werewolves, right? They thought they were bad, but they weren't, because they were natural. The vampires were not, because they fed on their own kind. The werewolves only killed the vampires and protect the village, right? Olaf, the werewolf, that was his name. So then you had my character that I created, which is BobCat. And he transforms into a 6-foot BobCat, right? but only in battle, in extreme circumstance. Otherwise, no. And then I would shrink into my smaller form, right? Lead the children to safety, protect my identity, and disappear. What's that mean? BobCat would be hunting down scumbags that hurt kids. How about that? In my world, I'm not saying literally, but if I had, say, supernatural power, that is what I would do. And I would appear. And I would rip them to pieces. That's how I feel emotionally. For anybody that has done that to children, willingly, knowingly, that knowing what they are doing is bad. And I'm talking real bad. Not just, a rough talk or a swat on the bottom, like bad shit. Because of what was done to my friend's daughter, I feel that personally. And what is wrong with people that they get to the point where that is called functional? It is not. You did that in a tribe, molested and murdered a child, you're done. The warriors of the tribe will gather. The women will talk to you and they will say, we are done. And by blood oath, that person is out. And that is serious. And once you are thrown out of your tribe like that for being dishonorable, you don't get to come back. That is a bad payment, right? The only way back is extreme self-correction and humility. Think about it. Before your grandparents, not some great God, whatever. Before your own tribe and family, where is accountability for actions? Right? Where's love? Okay, here we go. Right, back to vibe. Oh, okay. I feel like after that, I have to play like a short little interlude of music to balance. That was like super hardcore. But I have a lot of things surfacing, so today was rough. And like I had a few tears, remembering things. And sometimes I have flashbacks of finding my father. So playing music and reading helps me. Because otherwise I'll have flashes of seeing dead bodies in my head, right? My father. But it is what it is. My dad was awesome, and thank you for making me Folkish dad, even though you rough and whooped my ass. Still love my dad. He changed his ways when he got older. Serious. He did. And I give him credit for that. But he was rough when I was young. To get a soft raising with a goddamn fucking pillow to sit on. Got old school. And it ain't nice as a man. My sisters did not get that treatment. My dad believed in total different treatment between men and women. The boys got harsh treatment, especially me, because I was hyperactive. But thankfully, my dad was true, and he infused that into me to never strike women. I never have. I've never had a girlfriend I have physically abused. Thank you very much. Never. And I never will. Because I'm not like that. I'd rather walk away. Even though I'm capable, so what? But remember what Susan said in the verbal art of self-defense. You don't go up and poke the bear. That includes men as well. I don't go poke the 15-foot grizzly bear and then think that that's going to be all right. Yeah. Well, Grandmother Volva is no different in my opinion, of course. Seriously. I say it that way. Because I imagine old school, think of Russia, all right? Now, something you didn't know about Jonette Napolitano, she's part Russian. I saw it in her face. I'm like, oh, I see. But she is a sensitive as well. She's intuitive. And I noticed that. And that's probably why I gravitated to her music and her voice. Because she was visceral about how she sang. And I love that. feeling there. And that's hard to do. So she said on the road, she got to the point of being burned out by these managers and companies and corporations that would just push you on the road when you're young because you don't know better, to burn out. Then what happens? They start taking drugs, right? Well, she got off all that shit. Now that she's older, she tours 1 week out of the month. That's it. So she can have a break. But you think I don't want to tour endlessly? That'd burn me out. So I do this instead. I might do like Ren fairs. I might go to the Utah Ren Fair this year. I don't know. Videotape myself. Dress up in my garb. It's been a while. But I enjoy that. I love it. If I could dress as an elf 24/7, I would do it. I would live that way. I love it. You don't understand. He's a freak. I don't give a shit. It makes me happy. But I'm talking Lord of the Rings, you know. I think that's how we used to live. And then we fell down. Really. I think that we were consciously on a spiritual level much higher, way higher. I think we become more dense. That's why the elves are also associated with light, right? Spiritual power, light, intuition, telepathy, so on and so forth. Such as her calling the spirit of her people to the river, right? To stop the riders from coming. That's symbolic. That's, yeah. It's just a movie. It's not the point. It's the symbology of calling the power of the land to your aid. All right? Now, what was cool in, what is it, King Arthur Legend of the Sword, that reveals a lot of elite shit. Like he's feeding the demoness in the basement, right? But there's a druidess that aids Arthur. And that had a lot more supernatural and pagan aspect to the story. I don't think I saw anything Christian in that whole movie. Thank you. Give me an old school folkish story that does not have some goddamn fucking Christian overwrite. I get upset, sorry. But that's what it is. It's not love. It's just using our culture to sell shit. And it's offensive. Like the fake Thor shit. The fact that Thor is really redhead with red beard. You know what I'm saying? I just notice it left and right. You turn around and do that to a Christians and they're going to get pissed. But it's okay to do it to our shit, right? No, it isn't. If they want to be a sellout and do that shit, go ahead, but leave us alone. Because we're still living in the tribe. And if you're not, then you're not acknowledged. So the reason is if you don't acknowledge your tribe, then they don't acknowledge you. And I acknowledge my tribe 100% right now. And I have been. But as I get older, it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And it should. Because generally speaking, age means experience, which means leadership, right? Especially of yourself. So if you are in a position of leadership, comprehend, it is not a business. That's secondary. You are standing in front of your grandparents acting the way you do 24/7. In my opinion, of course. So I live that way. So if I do something that I think is out of line, I'm going to feel bad. It's going to hurt me. Because it wasn't love of my tribe. Do you see? Anything that is not that is out of line. That does not mean being a doormat. That means standing up for what your true virtues are and living them 100. It'll take time. You might fail, you might fall on your face, but you're making an attempt to do so. So, improving is the key. waiting on down by the river. I'll be calling the power of my people, shining the heart and soul. Wise women all around me. It's all I ever needed, all I ever wanted, so wake up your folk soul. Wake up your folk soul. All I ever needed and all I have is a heart soul. Heart soul, hey. All I is heart and soul forevermore. If you are true, I'll see you in the other world. 'Cause you're already there, shining on like a folk soul. I'll be looking for you, 'cause I love you for being true. Stay true, oh, true-hearted all the way. 'Cause a true-hearted woman and man, shine on, shine on, shine, shine, shine on forevermore. Oh, oh, I-oh. And then intuitively, I-oh came to me, and I thought about it. Because my vision was this: a tree, right? The center of all that is or ever shall be of our people. Tree, flame, well. Circle, round, like a maypole, right? And the maypole is a tree. So you have the I principle and the O principle. The unity is what creates life, right? Masculine and feminine. Like the circle protects, right? And holds. But the I principle is the active center axle to hold it so it can rotate. It's like a wheel. Makes sense, right? Break it down to base principle. People overcomplicate things. That's why I don't need to read witchcraft books. I can think for myself. I can utilize what I find, tree calendar, but you look at the cycles, right? As a guide of the seasons. All right. Have a drink. Okay. Chp.4, a bargain. A bargain. Should have turned it up a little bit. Yeah. Easier to read. I don't want to pop the mic though, so I have to be careful. You know what I mean? 70. I was at 85 last time when it was too loud. I noticed you popped out. I pay attention, you know. Doing better, but you know. All right. Chp.4, a bargain. Sunlight fell in a hazy, golden beam to light the grassy floor of Mananan's palace. Under a giant oak tree near the central ring, Lou and his host sat eating. They had settled themselves comfortably into the cozy spaces created by the interwoven roots. A wealth of food spread out between them. Lou was attacking the food with vigor while Mananan made another apology. I hope you don't resent my putting you to sleep that way. But I thought after a good rest and some food, you'd feel much more like dealing with things. I trust it's improved your grasp on reality. Yep. Lou wondered if it had. He looked about him at the enormous place once again. So I'm going to address something with the name Lou. I, personally, find it offensive to relate that to Lucifer. Get that shit out of here. Okay, for a reason. It's Latin. Now look at vulva and vulva. Latin over right. Clear? Very clear. So what is Lou? It's just Lou. Light. Folk light. Soul light. Got it? That's how I feel. Anyway. That's why I think that shit is stupid. Just my opinion. Anyway. He looked about him, but the spring goddess. Hail! Got it? Love the spring goddess. He looked about him at the enormous place once again. It seemed incredible as he'd thought at first. Birds of kinds and colors he'd never seen before flitted through the trees round. And I also might add, why are they pushing that shit in mainstream culture? Overlay. That's why I said to Latin bullshit, done. Done. And anyone doing that, I'm done with. As far as following anything they say. Doesn't mean I hate them. I just won't listen to shit they say because I think they're stupid. That's my opinion. I mean, they're focused on. Right? Not that they're stupid. I have to be careful with negative speech and getting someone offended. I don't mean to be insulting. It's not wanting to be deceived. So much overwrite, right? Pollution of folklore, archetypes, saying this one's that one. No, it isn't. Right? One hero is that hero, period. Different regions would vary, right? But the person it's based on doesn't. The real person to the core, woman or man, as a hero. Get it? Some of Mananan's people were playing a joyous hide-and-seek game in a nearby meadow. Others strolled in the winding paths or tended gardens and grazing cattle. And I also might add, it reminds me of John D. and bullshit I grew up with seeing. Some goths were into that shit early on. So it's like, okay, why is this included in all these books? Why did they insert that, right? It makes me wonder. Maybe some kind of high-level magic using certain names. Did I make a point? Resonance. Got it? Ooh. So, what is more resonant? Oh, right? Oh, or you, right? Obviously, the O is more resonant. Hence, vulva. Vulva. See, more powerful. Versus vulva can still stick my tongue to the top of my mouth to make the U sound, but think about what I just said. Sound, power, word, right? Oral tradition. Why would that be overwritten using script? Catch what I'm saying? I'm still not certain I know what's real, Lou told Mananan, honestly. And that's the point. This place, for instance, I can't believe I'm actually inside. It is a bit overwhelming, isn't it? Mananan agreed. What do you do when it rains, or in the winter? Or the place simply rearranges itself to accommodate the weather changes. The man casually explained, it's more or less doing that all the time. Sometimes I think the damned place is alive. Animism. What with things opening and closing, windows and walls shifting about. But it does keep things pretty much the same in here all year round. Pleasant enough, but terribly dull. See, because I developed my own path, I do not have tolerance for being led one way or another, where people who grew up with a group mentality do. So I can still work in a group, but I think as an individual, right? Like a member of a SEAL team has to be able to work with the team or by themselves. That's how it is. So travel with wisdom or travel alone, but always travel with wisdom. Makes sense? Dull, Lou repeated in astonishment. Why, it seems like paradise to me. Spent most of my life either cold or wet, and quite often both. Mananan sighed. I envy you that. To grow up always challenged by the elements must have been marvelous. Lou looked curiously at him. Do you mind my saying that you have some very peculiar attitudes for a god? You can say so, yes. It's been said before, but you are wrong in one point. I'm no god. Although it is true that my people have developed certain powers you might consider somewhat, shall we say, magical. Now, isn't that the point of what I'm saying? If you are transforming and evolving your just consciousness, right, in a higher or lower form, the label you slap on that, so what? It is what it is. Then what are you? You could think of me as sort of a guardian. Family guardian. I was sent here with these others to watch over things, help out here and there. He leaned over closer to Lou and added, confidently, I expected it to be quite an adventure, but so far it's been a great disappointment. A pair of lightly clad young women passed by and smiled warmly at Lou. He smiled back, watching them walk on, fascinated by the grace of their movements. I can relate to that. The rest of the people here seem happy enough, he remarked. What then? What? Them? Of course they are. Happy as ruddy larks, like the rest of my lot back home. And why not? We've learned to control everything around us. Now we're free to take our ease, sing and play, and contemplate and chase one another merrily through the meadows. But where's the challenge in that, I ask you? Where's the thrill of real living? That's what I'm looking for. Like the little rescue yesterday. There was real living. The weight of the sword, the hot pump of blood through the... He stopped. Realizing Lou wasn't listening, he was staring in a rapt admiration at a group of young women wading in the stream not far away, their long tunics pulled high about their legs, Mananan noted that the boy was definitely flushed. "I don't think I've ever seen women so beautiful," Lou said with tremendous enthusiasm. "Yes, you've mentioned that before," Mananan remarked dryly. "Have you had enough to eat?" "Oh, I think so," Lou said absently. Thanks." "It's a very good idea to go easily," the host said in a lecturing tone. "One who's lived as simple a life as you have might find our fare a bit too rich." Lou realized that Mananan's warning included more than the food. He looked away from the girls, flushing a brighter hue in embarrassment. Then something else in the words struck him more deeply. It recalled to him the grim events which had brought him here and what his purpose was. "Come on, lad," Mananan said, climbing up. "Let's walk a bit. You've seen very little of my she." Lou's mind was plunged again in dismal thoughts, but he followed along with his strange rescuer as they wandered the lazily winding paths. He found his dark mood lightened by the beauties of the place. Small animals scuttled from their way, and gaily plumaged birds soared overhead. Lush meadowlands rolled out on either side, with cozy nests of trees snuggled in nooks along the wandering streams of warmly furing soft hillsides. Each place looked more comely. The bright harp sound of a tumbling brook, or the gentle bard song of the rustling leaves. And it seemed to go on, so bewildering the paths that Lou realized he would be lost inside a house, inside a mound of earth. Okay, yeah, okay. There we go. But this was no real place, he felt. There was no time, no space here that he understood. Yet, as alarming as that thought might have been, he felt none, because he felt nothing here but a sense of peace. And then his sense of harsh reality returned with a sharp jar. Flashbacks, right? Trauma, PTSD, in a way. For as they topped to rise, a large field came into view. And on that field, several scores of mounted warriors were engaged in battle. They stopped to watch. Lou with alarm. Mananan with a cheerful but casual interest. The men were all dressed alike in silver helmets and breastplates, white flowing cloaks shot through with silver threads. Each carried a slender lance whose point winked with light, and whose haft was fitted with silver bands which shook together with a clear, bright, jingling sound as the men moved. Each one was mounted on a tall and elegant horse of the purest white, whose gracefulness did not disguise the power of its rippling body as it ran. These silver warriors were divided in two companies, which dueled with each other. They formed in ranks charged into one another's spears set, not colliding but flowing together, intermingling then parting, only to turn, reform, and charge again. Jousting, maybe? Similar. It was one endless, smooth, shining sweep of action, and a strangely beautiful thing to watch. For all its violent intent, The men and horses moved together, the streaming manes and the tails luminescent cloaks, blending to make their movement like a flow of moonlit, wind swirled fog. And the sound of them was like rushing sea wind, playing its mournful tune across the land. Odd, too, was that this and the musical tones of the silver bands were the only sounds Lou heard. No clashing of arms, no cries from the horse or man. And he noted that when they finished an attack, no hurt or dead lay upon the earth. Who are they? He asked. Mananan, shaking himself from the near trance, their fluid motions and sounds had nearly lulled him too. They are my warriors, the sea god replied. I call them the riders of the she. Walked down onto the field, Lou close behind him, and he approached. They broke off their battle and quickly reformed in two ranks, facing one another, an avenue between. Mananan led Lou up to it, explaining as they went. I didn't want you to see them when you first arrived. They might have alarmed you. They really are a grim lot. Lou looked round him at each one as they passed between the ranks on the tall horses. The warriors towered over them, so still and silent, they might have been statues graven in silver. Each stared ahead, features largely masked by the helmet face. Only tight mouths and glaring, unblinking eyes of brilliant gray visible. Pardon me. They were indeed an ominous company, and Lou felt a cold wash about him as they passed through. As they reached the far end of the avenue, Mananan turned to them and announced, All right, you may go back to it now. At once, the riders resumed their mock attacks. They spend most of their time at playing war, Mananan remarked. Don't they do anything else? Lou asked. Not really, but there's little else to do, and we're created to be warriors. Created? Lou asked. Oh, yes, they're not real men. They're wraiths. Ooh. Just the form of men given substance to act in the world. Wow. See, this guy is relating this to the loss of folk culture. That's what I read between the lines, and everything he says, go back, reclaim heritage. That's why these books are so hardcore. I'm like, wow. Okay. I told you my people had become quite peaceful. They had had enough difficulty finding me to send to this little outpost. Finding a company of warriors, that was possible. So the essence of those more violent spirits of our distant past was summoned from its own realms and given the shape you see. Imagine that came back, right? Like, to reset the world. Huh. Right? Like, divine, unstoppable warriors. Can't beat them. Can't destroy them. Nothing. Wow. Who do they fight? No one. At least, not yet. They're waiting. Like my 4 charges for their time. Why don't you go on now? You have such powers? Lou said thoughtfully as he continued on the path. And you say you have knowledge of me? I know about most things that happen in my domains, the man replied modestly. I gather information in all sorts of ways, from passing birds. You see, this is what you would be doing, observing nature and how it is connected. And you would be like, oh, if I see this, it means that. Yeah. From passing birds, sea creatures, a stranded sailor, now and again, or web of weird. I like to say it that way. Okay, web of word, to be correct, paganly correct, as I say. People would be like, oh no, it's actually. I'm like, I know it is. And thank you for correcting us. There's very little that goes on without my hearing about it from the talkative dolphin or gull. Then that's how you knew my island had been attacked, that I was coming here, said Lou, ignoring the remarkable nature of his host's sources. To some extent, Mananan agreed. That means you can tell me who it was, attacked us, and why. Mananan considered the boy gravely for a moment, then answered regretfully, no, Lou, I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't do that. Remember, he's still young, but how long has he been there? Don't know. What do you mean? Lou demanded. You must be able to tell me. You have knowledge of everything, even the future. Of course I have it. Mananan replied evenly. I simply won't give you your answers now. Lou forgot his awe of this odd being in his anger. He turned on the tall man, nearly shouting, You won't. Then, why am I here? Why did you rescue me? Why did Tolta send me to you for help? Easy, lad. His unruffled host told him soothingly, I didn't tell you that I wouldn't help. But first, you're going to have to earn that help from me. I was thinking about Aquaman. It's a possible ripoff of Mananan McLear. Just saying, possibly. The first went out of Lou, and he grew uncertain. Oh, the fire. The fire went out of Lou. I mean, he wasn't pissed off anymore. And he grew uncertain again. I don't understand, he said. First, you must tell me more about yourself, Mananan said. Do you really know so little of the world? Until that attack, the little island was my whole world, Lou answered, honestly. I knew of nothing else. Then you didn't know about me. Only in the tales told the children about the terrible place beyond the fog. I think that was meant just to frighten us and keep us from wanting to sail too far out to sea. Mananan smiled. I'd like to have heard those tales, but what about other lands, other people? Then, there are some, said Lou with rising interest. I thought there must be, but no one spoke about it. Delta always managed to put aside my questions. It's still remarkable to me that she was able to keep you happy or contented there. I hadn't much time to think about it, but what she wasn't telling me about the world, she made up for my teaching everything else she could. I've learned all kinds of skills. I can craft in metal, wood, forge, play the harp, and sing. That's rite of passage. And that is what broke down. You see, you can fix it, right? I've been taught the skills of a warrior, and I know the secrets of all types of games. I've become a master of many things in my few years, a master of nearly everything except my own life and my own reason. This last was spoken with a certain bitterness as the emptiness of this situation filled him again. So right there, without knowledge of self, he felt what? Empty and lost. Welcome to modern culture. That's why folk soul is so important to me and culture. Even so, Mananan considered, it must have been hard for Tolta to satisfy you as you grew older. It was harder every day. I knew there had to be more, and I meant to go seeking it. I think I would have left the island soon if the attack hadn't come. It seems to me that she would have wanted that, Lou, Mananan told him. She most likely would have sent you here herself when the time came, would she? See, because he has to have his rite of passage. He's becoming a man, right? Asked Lou, would she? Then why did she keep me from knowing about the world? To protect him, right? Mananan stopped and turned to the anguished boy, placing a firm hand on each of his shoulders. His eyes held Lou's, and he spoke in earnest. You listen to me, Lou. Never hold that against her. She must have loved you. She sacrificed herself to save you. Whatever she did, she believed had to be done. Lou pulled angrily away, turning his back on the man. How do you know that? He cried. You tease me with these things. You hint that you know my secrets, but you won't reveal them. He swung back on Mananan, tense with rage and frustration, his eyes filled with tears. You won't tell me about Talta, Will. Okay. Well, I'll tell you. I still love her, no matter what the truth is. Ah, that's a line, my dad. The truth is, it simply exists, right? Intention, intuition, existing in the same space, kaboom. And that's what he's coming to eventually, right? I will avenge her and the rest. But to do it, I have to have your help. Please give me your help. Mananan's amiable face hardened. He shook his head sharply. Very sorry, lad, but I need something from you, he said stubbornly. What you've told me only makes that more certain in my mind. What do you mean? Asked Lou. What can I do for you with all your powers? Come over this way, the tall man said, gesturing up a pathway. They walked along it toward the outer wall and a large opening. Beyond, they found themselves on a meadow at the base of the mound. Across the meadow and a line of beach was the sea. Lou could see gulls wheeling above the shallow waters, just off the shore, seeking prey. Mananan pointed out to sea. Out there, just beyond the haze, is a large island known by some as Ayr, the pleasant land. I think it very well named. It's a place of great richness and great beauty. But I've heard lately that things have become very unpleasant there. He looked down at Lou. I want you to go there and find out why. Lou swung his gaze sharply from the sea to his host. You want me to go? What could I find out that you couldn't learn yourself? For one thing, I'm afraid my abilities are scarcely more than the normal away from the sea. The only thing I can do there is simply send something to observe. And you are the perfect observer. Do you understand? Lou didn't think so. Shook his head. Think how remarkable you are. Mananan explained. You know nothing about ire, its people, or its problems. You'll experience everything with an open mind. In all of my domains, you are the only one I know who can go there and judge the situation without bias. To what end? Lou asked. To help me decide what course I should take before I can interfere in what's happening. There or use my powers for anyone. I have to have a totally fair assessment of it all. You can give me that. Or are you telling me that unless I do this, you won't help me? Lou asked carefully, not wanting to believe it. I am, Mananan replied impassively. I've lost my family and home. And I'm alone. I am lost and alone in the world. And you're going to use that to force me into helping you. As terrible as it sounds, yes. Motivation. What I need is far too important, whether you understand or not. That's wisdom talking. Lou glared at the man in frustration for a moment. Then he stalked away across the meadow to the shore and dropped down there. Mananan followed after him slowly, stopping some way behind him. Lou flicked a flat stone into the pulsing surf with an irritated gesture. It's a rotten thing to do, you know, he said. Mananan didn't reply. He stood waiting patiently, unconcerned. He knew what the boy's response would have to be. So he's going to wait for him to process what he said. Lou flicked another stone into the waves as he considered. I wouldn't know how to begin, he said at last, or where to go or what to do. All that would be taken care of, Mananan assured him at once. He moved down and crouched beside the boy. They're very suspicious, very closed there now. But I'll work out a way to get you accepted. Get you into some place where you can see what's happening. I think the skills Teltut gave will help you do that. And I'll provide all assistance I can. And all I need to do there is to observe and report back to you. That's all. Of course, you mustn't tell anyone why you're there or even mention me. And your observations must be as complete as possible, based on a fair, impartial study of all sides. Just like a druid, right? Now remember, sometimes the druids would have money on the line or gold or property, right? As a judge. So if they made a bad judgment, they forfeited what they put up, as far as I know. But once you think you clearly understand the situation there, you can return to me. Then you'll tell me what I want to know. You'll help me to get my revenge. If that's what you want, I will. I would say vengeance. That's, my opinion. Justice. Mananan promised. Lou saw another possibility. He could leave his isle and seek his answers in other places. But would Mananan allow that? You can go where and when you like. I won't stop you. Mananan replied, reading Lou's thoughts again. Ha 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 ha. Your choice must be yours alone. But listen to me, Lou. I will tell you this much. What happens in Ire will affect the lives of everyone there and far beyond. And you could play a part in it. Your own life, your own destiny depends upon the choice you make now. His destiny, there again, was the teasing reminder that Mananan knew so much more. How odd, Lou thought, that yesterday he'd longed for some destiny beyond a peaceful life on a lonely island. And now, as he looked out across the glittering plain of water toward the curve of the sky, he realized that a whole new life lay out there, waiting for him to discover it. There was a chance for him to see places and meet people he'd never known existed. The expectation of the adventure was much an influence on him as the need to earn Mananan's help. He looked at the tall man and nodded, saying firmly, "All right, I'll go and do this thing for you. Now wait," Mananan cautioned gravely. "Now wait. Before you make a bond with me, I want it clear that this won't be an easy thing. I said before that, on land, my powers are very limited. There are dark and terrible powers at work in Aya, which you'll face alone." "I don't care," Lou answered boldly. "I've no life of my own. To gain one, I'd face any terror, any pain." "You have to," Mananan said grimly. "You have to." That is the end of book 1 and chapter 4. Next, book 2, The Mission, chapter 5, A Challenge. I'm taking a break. Okay. Yeah, chill zone. Ready? Wow. You know, it's trippy because it feels like in many ways my life is following this story. It's tripping me out. No. But I've gone so deep down the rabbit hole, it's just synchronized. Feels like it. Being in harmony with your path. All right. Hail. Here we go. Hail, 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 our folks so long away. Turn the volume down just a bit so I don't blow it. Just a little bit. Go down to 55. Nope. Bring it on up. Woo! Maybe I'll do 75. Fine. Should I back up? Maybe. Better stay wise away. Riding on the sea. Oh. He said, "Lad, as I am now, you may sure become. Ride the waves along the shoreline. As I am, you may become. Aye. As I am, you may be. Power of the earth, land, and sea. Oh. Got some new picks today. Went to Acoustic Music, baby. Get some new strings, other items. Oh, there it is. I got an acorn in my pocket, yo. See? Keep it in there for good vibes. Oak seed protection, right? Just saying. And good vibe. Now this is soft, real soft, super thin. Gotta get used to it. So soft. Okay, reposition. Alrighty, cool. Yeah. Now. You can feel the click. Here we go. Back down to 50. Ooh, that was perfect. Right in the middle. It's too soft. I tried. No, different pick. Here we go. Easy. I have to remind myself to not push so hard, right? And but eventually I'm working on speed, right? Really, remember, each note signifies something I am feeling, not just some technical whatever. So be careful, because later, when I re-listen, it helps me focus. Makes me feel good. Did something positive. Easy. Oh, you know what? I saved the Patriot to the end. Just barely put new strings on it. A little while, I don't know, hour ago, something. Put on Earthwood. Let's see. Wasn't sure if I was going to play it because I like to let the strings kind of settle and stretch. But these are 56 Millimeter. What's that mean? Extra bass. So this is experimental. I planned on the mandola, but I wasn't sure if I was going to play the Patriot because I've heard people, I think I heard someone say, I'm not sure, it's not quite in tune, it never will be perfect. Because as you play, it's going to shift. I like the sound of these strings. I tried something new. Ooh. It's a challenge to do this with headphones on, like tuning live, but gotten better. Oh, trouble on the sea, trouble on the land. Be a mission to handle. If I could just find, say, one honest man, one honest woman said, we could have a tribe and family. So don't leave your heart on the side of the road for a mountain of gold said, I won't trade my folks soul, no. Way down, deep down, feel pain. I'm not a bad man, 'cause I can feel deep down so. I have a right to exist, deep down in a folk soul said, true as the waves do run, set upon the wave. I can feel you on the wave, ancient as the wave does roll, ancient as the wave does flow. Why don't you tell me what you really want? Tell me where you're going now. it on the wave, oh. Get it on the wave. Yes, holding the wind. She taught him everything he knows. Everything you know. Master of all the ways. Guardian of a folk soul, she say. Send you on the sea. Right-o, right-o, right-o. Passage on the breeze. Long way down, you know. Everything I am or ever will be is a folk soul rhythm. Stay free, oh. Give it all away. I give it all away. Keep my folk soul forevermore. And never, never, never fall away. Never fall away. Never fall away. Way, oh. If you feel me on the wind, you're in my circle round. It's not just for a little while, you know. It's forevermore. But you can fall away. Right on the sea, baby, come on. Stay free. One for the folks so late. Tribe and family. Tribe and family. Oh, way down, deep down. Wisdom calling on the wave. Oh, yeah, you're calling on the wave. Heart's flame rolling on. Burn on, say you will. Carry on the flame, oh, for people, people, people. Reaching deep down, it's pulled into the undertow. a deep down folk soul rhythm. Up into the mountain, folk soul mountain. Oh, long way down. Long way down, long way down the mountainside. Root down, fly high. Circle all around, oh, don't matter anymore, you see. If you're with me, so what they said, grandmother, grandfather, oh, tree flaming well, tree flaming well, so all the way down, they said, on the mountainside. Said they didn't need folk wisdom anyway, so I just fade away from them. So I go on back to folk soul mountain, so folk soul mountain. Folk soul mountain calls my heart and soul. Long way, fire still burning as you pray down the sea. P-R-E-Y is what I said. Looking for prey. Well, I'm an eagle overhead, you know. I won't be a prey for you. I keep my folk soul rhythm on. That goes down on this earth, I said. I know where I'm going to see. Where I'm going to see. If you're with me, woman, come on. You're with me, my friend, Marianne. And when my body goes down to red, be folk soul, folk soul, folk soul, folk soul to stay, stay. It's all that mattered anyway. So I gave everything else away, yeah. Keep my folks soul, yeah, on the lock, baby. That's for sure. So I'm singing, hail to the mountain soul. Hail to the mountain of folk soul. Rough as I am, rough as I am, Don't stand, they say. down, folks on tour. Be a battle underway, deep down in my heart and soul. I won't be a plastic credit card, no, 'cause my both souls wood and stone. Family to circle around, oh, oh, long way down, they say. See in my dreams, my people like be a wise woman, come my way, come my way, come my way. Be waiting down on the undertow, way deep down I know. Tree blaming well, oh, tree blaming way, yeah, tree blaming way, yeah. Grandfather, grandmother said, spirit on the way, you wait for me and I'm waiting for you. Grandmother said she's gonna find me, either she will or she won't. Hey, I know it's like threading a needle, but find my way, you know, like a lock to a key. I'll long way yet. deep down in the undertow. Softly I know that easy, easy, easy on the way. Oh, easy on the wave. Oh, heart's flame, love's fire. Heart's flame, tree and well. I-oh, 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 way down. I-oh, way down. I-oh. Undertow, easy on the way as it goes, easy on the wave, oh, love forevermore. So circle round, say I, say oh. Say, oh, hey, yeah. Hey, oh. Thank you. Circle around. We go. 7 more minutes? Yeah. Gotta beat the 2-hour mark. Getting close. Barely touching. Now, I've learned a long time ago, the sign of a great player is not how fast or powerful they play. It is finesse. Use the power strokes to a point, but also being able to hold rhythm. Go back, retune everything, chill zone. Yeah. We'll end a little bit of Patriot. Yeah. Pretty excited. Get excited after new strings. Easy on the way, easy on the way. I-oh, grandmother, grandfather on the way. Oh, deep down you know. Circle round, easy on the way, easy on the way. Oh, 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 oh. Volvo, oh yeah, circle round, say, oh, oh, easy on the way, I-oh, easy on the wave. They said, you know, easy on, easy on, oh, oh, I-oh.